Greetings, everyone. This is your weekly La Frontera Times icebreaker. This past Sunday, white nationalism's angriest and most armed gathered for an extremist Tea Party rally in Hereford, Arizona. The rally was sponsored by the United Border Coalition on a ranch owned by known racist Minuteman Glenn Spencer of the American Border Patrol. For those of our viewers unfamiliar with the Minuteman Project, it exists as a paramilitary group that patrols the U.S.-Mexico border because it believes it is taking on the responsibility that the U.S. government has left behind. In truth, though, the Minuteman Project's ideological roots, which include making America America for the real Americans again, and using vigilante violence to voice their white supremacist fantasies, go back to racist, terrorist outfits such as the White Citizens Councils and Ku Klux Klan. The research done by Stephen Lemons of the Phoenix New Times goes to show that Glenn Spencer pals around with terrorists, such as Shauna Ford. Shauna Ford is the Minutemen American Defense Director, implicated in the home invasion and homicide of Raul Flores and his 9-year-old daughter Briseña Flores in 2009. The only survivor of this brutal killing was Gina Gonzalez, Raul's wife, who only escaped death because she successfully defended herself with her late husband's handgun and played dead after having been shot herself. Shauna Ford later went on to falsify a rape scene in the otherwise undisturbed solace of her own home. Reports say that her self-mutilation was an attempt to qualify for state money under the guise of being a rape victim. All this right-wing talk about immigrants taking jobs, taking our benefits, committing crimes, and you got a white woman right under your nose, killing 9-year-old girls and faking sexual assault so that she can leech off the state. These types of people and others, numbering about 400, got together on Sunday for the Tea Party rally. Strangely enough, both local and national media are beginning to call them activists. Sheriff Joe Arpaio is an activist?
How do you react to that?
Well, you know, they call you KKK. They did me. I think it's honor, right?
It
means we're doing something.
J.D. Hayworth is an activist?
I'm J.D. Hayworth, and I'm running for U.S. Senate to take on the most pressing challenges facing Arizona, America, and indeed the entire human race. First, I've committed to exposing the secret Kenyan birthplace of the President of the United States.
The President should come forward with the information, that's all. Why must we depend on the Governor of Hawaii?
We'll talk more about this later. Joe Arpaio, also known as America's toughest sweeper, was in rare form during his speech on Sunday, saying that the Mexican government should actually welcome U.S. Border Patrol or military forces to go after drug cartels south of the border.
But please, don't just say the border. Don't just say secure the border. That's a cop-out. Let's say lock them all up in the interior. You see, they don't want to say that. And I don't know, if I had all the national TV here, I probably would climb the fence and show you how easy it is.
And then Tucson radio host Tony Venuti,
what are we nuts? What are we nuts?
Who attached a huge sign to the fence that told immigrants to head to Los Angeles, is on record to have cautioned rally participants, instead of finding bugs in our beds, we're finding home invaders. Venuti also calls himself an experiential social philosopher.
What are we nuts? What are we nuts?
Rally participants also place various small flags and signs along the border's fence. Sounds like the perfect Sunday picnic, don't it? Given Venuti's comparison of brown folks to insects and the Arpaio allusion to urban internment, these Tea Party hate fests are really beginning to sound more and more like lynching parties. So the icebreaker advises those few citizens monitoring the Tea Party rally this Sunday to protect your neck, because who knows what lengths Russell Pierce, Joe Arpaio, J.D. Hayworth, and 400 other foaming patriots intent on securing America's borders will go to prove their seriousness. Because seriousness is all they have to prove, folks, given that the raw data just doesn't support their claims of border lawlessness in any way, shape, or form. In a recent article by Elena Shore of the New American Media, supported by countless other independent reports, we find that the U.S.-Mexico border is actually becoming safer, and that it is outside perceptions and media causing a climate of fear to manipulate public opinion. Over 87% of 1,222 residents living on the Mexican border of California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas feel safe where they live. Indeed, We should ask ourselves, if the border is so unsafe, filled with brewers' myths of war, mayhem, chaos, fear, and headless bodies, wouldn't there be a mass exodus from these areas occurring as we speak? I mean, war, mayhem, chaos, and fear sounds more like the current U.S. military occupation of Iraq and Afghanistan, not so much the U.S.-Mexico border. Actually, Elena Shore surmises that, and I quote, "The results support the latest statistics that show the U.S.-Mexico border is actually one of the safest regions in the country. An FBI report obtained by the Associated Press found that the 4 big U.S. cities with the lowest rates of violent crime are all along the border: San Diego, Phoenix, El Paso, and Austin." A U.S. Customs Border and Protection report obtained by AP also found that being a Border Patrol agent is much less dangerous than being a street cop in most cities. U.S. Customs and Border Protection spokesperson Lloyd Easterling has even said, "The border is now safer than it has ever been." So, Icebreaker listeners, indulge me in this logic. If the border is now safer than it has ever been, don't all these anti-immigrants and racists, hysterics, owe our undocumented brothers and sisters a thank you? Perhaps undocumented immigrants are doing the job Sheriff Joe and Jan Brewer claim they want to do. Or maybe this whole 1070 law and the resurgence of law and order rhetoric is just a political economic ploy for private corporations to make money off of imprisoning more brown folk while they distract the people of the United States from an economic crisis generated by Wall Street and a hyperinflated war budget. Just something to think about. But let's not place all the blame on the Tea Party and their extended family. It's fair, but it's not complete. We would be remiss in not mentioning that President Barack Obama, of Hope and Change fame, signed a bill that gives $600 million to put more agents and equipment on the border. This bill hires 1,000 Border Patrol agents, more ICE agents, and pays for spanking new communications equipment and unmanned surveillance drones. Is this the Obama y'all voted for? Are these the Democrats you put your trust in? It seems like the radical Republicans and the Deceptocrat Party are engaged in a political push and pull over who can militarize the police and border and line the pockets of private corporations who provide border enforcement technology faster. Now to close. Concerning the use of the term activist, the Icebreaker sees this as yet another way that the primarily white right wing is coining civil rights movement vocabulary to paint itself as some type of grassroots campaign for justice. Who knows? They'll probably start calling themselves community organizers as November elections near. On a related note, if you check out Arizona's Prop 107, the Ward Connolly-sponsored anti-affirmative action bill, the legislation is so full of civil rights isms that you might be fooled to vote for it, meaning against affirmative action. It's just more evidence to let us know that for black and brown folks and oppressed people in general, our struggle is one. This has been your La Frontera Times Icebreaker. Visit us on the web at www.lafronteratimes.com.